Hello everyone once again, and welcome to the lesson portion of the video, following the song For You by Killswitch Engage from their As Daylight Dies album. Alright, we're going to take a look at just a couple of things here today. We're going to take a look at the initial intro, the riff that comes at the beginning. There's some dispute on exactly how that is played and what exactly it is, so I can only show you what sounds best to my ears. At least I think that's what's going on, but we have to ask one of the guys one of these days. Anyway, the other thing we're going to take a look at is the interlude riff that comes in a little bit later in the song. That's kind of the break in the middle. I'd like to take a look at the riff specifically and introduce a couple of ideas into writing similar riffs in your own tunes. And as such, I've composed a little song based on this riff. I've rearranged everything a little bit, made it very obscure, and I've put up the tab, and I've recorded a separate video for you guys to check out. So hopefully this will kind of spur you on in making similar sounding riffs. And I've entitled my song, any guesses? Flip the Switch. Yes. Okay, so let's take a look at that first riff. Great. I'm using either, I try to use as much alternate picking as possible just because it's easier on the hand. You can use all downward picking too. I think that'll come for the second part of this riff when you have the sliding. The sliding power chords, that'll be easier. So for here, I think that there's something like this going on. So that that's not just a regular kind of a mirroring of the next riff, but I think it's there's kind of a pull-off happening. So essentially the pull-off, I think, would be sort of initiated by your second finger on the second fret of the fifth string, and we're sort of hammering on to the third fret, then back, and then hammering on to the first, or essentially pulling off to the first. So we have second fret, hammer on to the third, back to the second fret, back to the first, and that's before we do the descending line, fourth, third, second fret, with our fourth, third, and second fingers on the sixth string respectively. And then after that, we do a similar motion as we did with our second, third, and fourth fingers. We do it with our first, second, pull off to the first, and pull off to an open string after that. And after that, we follow it up with a descending riff, third, second, first fingers on the third, second, first frets respectively. It's a bit difficult to keep clean, but with some practice. Okay, so all that slowly. And then the last accent notes. Pinky finger on the 4th fret of the 5th string. Open 6. 3rd string. Right. So the whole thing slowly. That's my 2 cents on that riff. Okay, let's take a look at the interlude riff after that. That happens toward the end of the song, starting on the 6th. Okay, you can figure it out from the tab. Essentially, I used all alternate picking, and just the first, I think the first part is a bit open to debate as to his fingering. And then after that, I use the first finger to go down to play that note on the 3rd string. After that, again with the first finger. And here, there's a bar. There's a bit of a rolling of the first finger. That's kind of it, but it's alternate picking, and the notes on the tab are exactly the notes of the riff themselves. Now, I really like this riff, and this is something very common for Killswitch Engage. They have sort of descending, kind of the riff that follows that section. You get similar kind of riffs, or actually that's from another song, isn't it? They all add that particular spice to the sound. What I've done is I've taken this idea out of this context and put in something, made something of my own. But instead of 3/4 time or 6/8 here, you can do 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. I've done it in 4/4. And I'm going to play the 2 separate parts for you, and after that I'll let you watch the video, the full performance. This is the chords that I came up with underneath. And that's the chord progression. Now the riff that I came up with is very similar, just follows a pattern, and then after that I try to follow along with the chords. So here's that one. I'll play it again. Cool, eh? And I've just to be clever, I've come up with a harmony that's on top of that. This followed above at the interval of a third. If you don't know your intervals by now, check out any tutorials, or of course hit me up on Skype for a video lesson. In about 30 minutes, you'll know everything about intervals and how they relate to music theory. It's going to make your guitar playing so much easier from then on. You'll have to stop thinking, which fret is this, which dude? You just go straight. Somebody says a third up, and you're there. Okay, and just to see that part came up slightly more difficult for fingering. That's it. Anyway, enjoy the video. I hope that you find this useful. and see if you can take away some of these ideas just as I have, and create some riffs of your own, different keys, different ideas, different combination of strings, you name it. So go and have fun. See you next time.